CEO of India Youth Fund, Ashley, is here with me, and we are here at New York Public Library, a wonderful place and even more meaningful event that we have organized by India Youth Fund. So talk to me a little bit about being CEO of an organization which begins with the name India, how that appealed to you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. It is indeed a very exciting evening for us. India Youth Fund is something that's very important to me, and I've actually been involved with for a long time before my role as CEO. I've been on the advisory board since 2014, and my first interest peaked because my husband's from India. So I spent many years traveling to India and just seeing how much the country needs our help, and especially the slum population. And as soon as I found India Youth Fund, I just wanted to get involved. So I kept diving deeper, and now I'm CEO, and it's a time of growth and exciting things for us, and it's really a wonderful time.
So talking about the overall operations, if I use the term, though serving is not operation, but just for the sake of simplicity, the first impressions that you had when you saw how Salam Bombay is connecting with kids and your initial impressions.
I think the most important thing is the age group we've decided to work with, and it's the ages 12 to 17. And this is a very critical time in one's life. It's a time where you either can become a contributing member of society, or you can choose a different path. And the dropout rate at age 12 in India is huge. So we really wanted to step in and intervene at that time. And we see that rather than kids becoming dejected from an uncomfortable school situation, maybe not motivating teachers, or pressures from their families to drop out and go make money or help in the house, we've stepped in at this point, and we get the kids coming back to school. So through our life skills academies, which can be anything from sports, cricket, field hockey, soccer, to theater, arts, creative arts, we're giving these kids purpose and a reason to come back to school. So stepping in at that critical time, I think, is just the most important thing. And we get them coming back to school because that's the ultimate goal.
So coming from India, when I learn about your role as CEO of India Youth Fund, taking care of kids at such a vulnerable age, I want to thank you, and I want to express my gratefulness. And at the same time, I want you to share with us, it must be quite challenging, first of all, when you see the extent of the problem. Sometimes there is a sense of helplessness that how much can we actually make a tangible difference. So from that point of view, how is your thought process?
It's true. We're just barely touching the very tip of the iceberg. India has probably about 65 million people living in the slums. That's the latest poll from the Census Bureau. And we've only helped 25,000 students so far. And so if you think about it, 25,000 to 65 million, it could be discouraging, and you think there's so much work to do, but we think of it another way, and it's just one child at a time, and a child in school has a future. We're slowly breaking that cycle of intergenerational poverty, because if we start teaching one child at a time the benefits of staying in school will provide them for a brighter future, they will then tell their friends, their children, and slowly but surely we'll expand throughout the whole community.
So the beautiful story that we have here at New York Public Library today from India Youth Fund is a sense of hope and the glow of hope.
But our work is very unique, one for the age group, two for the transparency. So we really encourage people to, if you go to India, we are happy to show you our programs, let you experience yourself. And because we're still small, we have a small team, really every dollar donated, it goes to the programs. Our operating costs in the US are underwritten by trustee funding, so every donation affects a life in need in India. So
as I thank you, I personalize our communication. I share, my daughter just became doctor and she has started working. The reason I bring her up is there are many kids of her age, whether doctor or engineers or professionals, who are Indian Americans. What would you like to tell them that this is another area where what they are making, part of it should be contributed, whether it is through India Youth Fund or any other organization, but particularly talking about the work of India Youth Fund is important for you to be a part of?
You mentioned your daughter, and I think that's wonderful, and I think the same way. I have two daughters, and I want them to learn about giving back to those that are in need. It's also nice to know that it doesn't take a lot to help somebody in need in India. Our programs start at just $100 per child. So for a small contribution, you can put another child through one of our programs, and it really goes a long way, and it makes you feel good.
So thank you very much, Ashley. I once again appreciate what you are doing. And CEO of India Youth Fund talking to us here at New York Public Library. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Ultimately, if you look at, again, it's in the context of India, there's a huge population which is very young. The demographics are such that the, under 25, and in the case of India Youth Fund, even under 20, is a major percentage of the population. I don't remember the percent, but it's like close to 30-40%. And so creating opportunities for those children beyond just what is available, which is that the Indian government, which has done a fantastic job of actually providing the opportunity to provide education. It's one thing to provide the physical education, but it's one about providing the software in terms of the education quality, the sports, the extracurricular, and everything else. And what the India Youth Fund has done is saying, look, yes, you can have a school, yes, you can have computers, you can have all these other things, but if you're not actually teaching the people, teaching the children what they're supposed to learn, you're not going to actually make a difference. You really realize how the opportunity that is provided here is actually quite immense.
Yeah, जा पूरा round लेके.
Something like the Cricket Academy or some of the other academies which are run here can really add to the development of a child.
हम सोचे इसमें दोनों भी फायदे हैं, कंप्यूटर भी सीख सकते हैं और कोर्स क्या है वो भी मालूम पड़ जाएगा.
And I think the Indian government recognizes this in full film, and hats off to them. I mean, they've done a fantastic job of getting 100% or 99.9% of students through schools. So an India Youth Fund supplements a lot of the other things which it's doing, which is building the capabilities to provide young children, whether it be after school, athletic and other things, to really get to the next level.
मेरे डिस्ट्रिक्ट में से मैं एक अकेला लड़का था जो एरोप्लेन में बैठ के बाहर देश जाके आया, खेल के आया, इंडिया को रिप्रेजेंट करके आया. और अभी मैं कॉलेज के सेकेंड ईयर में हूँ और यहाँ पर असिस्टेंट कोच भी हूँ, तो बच्चों को भी सिखाता हूँ, तो अच्छा लगता है.
What is your definition of intelligence and what is your definition of success?
My definition of intelligence is to use both your EQ and IQ to really move the needle in the world. And what is the second question? Success. And my question of success is to actually make that happen.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, sir. Lots of good.
Thank you. So the fact that the India Youth Fund has kind of stepped up, working with the government, working with municipal schools to make this happen is enormous and quite unique.
It's an honor to be able to work with India, travel to India. I've been traveling to India now for 15 years, almost 10 times a year, 8 to 10 times a year. Still loving it every day more. I love the people, I love the opportunity, and particularly the resilience people have in the face of challenge. There's obviously a lot of challenges, and particularly youth. It's one of the youngest populations in the world, and partly the future of the world hinges on how well they're going to do in the future, right? You have over 60% of the population below 35, so a lot. It's a lot's at stake. A lot's at stake in terms of education, in terms of skills and jobs to be created, and that's where we started our efforts here to raise some money, and with partners on the ground there.
So organizations like India Youth Fund are trying to change India. And they are trying to change, certain sections of society which have never had career choices. And I think it's most importantly giving these teenagers confidence.
पहले मैंने कभी इतना बड़े स्टेज पे डांस नहीं किया था. तो डर लगता था तो प्रे करके जाती थी.
I get a lot more out of doing this than probably I feel the kids do. It's really fulfilling. It's been an honor to be able to set up some of these things and raise money for them. I think you get to see the opportunity that India has, but also you get to see how some kids are in such a challenging environment and they have no choices. That I've seen growing up in Spain as well, and it's very sad to see a cycle of poverty perpetuate from parents to kids because the lack of education and the lack of opportunity. And that I think is something that we've managed to address in many cases, and other organizations also do a great job. But if you change that, the impact is generational, right? If you can give somebody the means to complete an education and to change their earnings potential, their savings potential, their hope and their dreams, then that will carry on for generations. And I think that impact is a lot more important than any business we may do. Right?
India Youth Fund helped me to live my dream. Thank you, India Youth Fund.
About 80% of the at-risk youth that we work with in these areas, slum areas in cities, metro, between the ages of 12 and 17, 80% of them don't finish high school. They drop out, they go into unskilled labor, and they remain poor. So what we do is engage them in an opportunity for them, if they stay in school and for their families, to participate in sports, arts, theater, media academies, what we call academies, several times a week, where they can learn life skills, what we call life skills, confidence, goal setting, teamwork, empowerment. You can dream, you can get it, overcome your challenges. That is coupled with English, with useful tools like financial literacy for them to plan themselves and budget. And also we do technical training once they are 15 so they can work part-time in their communities, things like mobile repair or bakery, wellness and beauty, so hairstyling and beauty for as well. And those are part-time jobs that help the family also financially not have to make the tough choice of having them drop out of school. So that we've seen that work because the kids that we've put through our program now are crossing about 10,000. 98% stay in school instead of 80% dropping out. So that in itself encourages us to actually raise more money and go to any city in India that wants to take us in. Right.
And Victor, I just want to underline that you come from Spain, you are here in America, you go to India and you feel for them, you work for them, and that again reminds me of the key word from India, which is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that whole world is a big family. And talking about this big family, let us hear your first-hand experience. And as we saw some of the videos of the kids, how they have transformed, and allow me to add one more layer of question. It is not easy to get the kind of people who would have the conviction to connect with someone and share the sense of enthusiasm. So how all that is taken care of?
So there's a lot of dedicated people on the ground, people that dedicate their life to talk to the families, to convince them that this is the right thing to do for their kids, sometimes for girls. Sometimes you talk to the family, their financial struggles are real. We're not just doing something just for fun. It's a sacrifice for the family. It's difficult for them. And there's a lot of people that encourage both the kids and their parents to go through this process, to get them some skills so that they can move. And which parent doesn't want that for their kids, right? But we're helping them through encouragement around that struggle, right, of how to make both possible. There's, in Bombay, for example, there's about 100 people that work in the organization that work with families, work with the municipal schools. Teachers have a play. Coaches have a play. Anybody, growing up, who doesn't want a good figure that gives you some advice, right, for life? So finding those people is not easy, but thankfully we've done good work, so we attract good people. Many of the kids that actually have gone to the program come back to volunteer, actually almost all of them. They've seen the power of it. They're the best advocate, the best coach to some of these kids, and that's That's how we do it. It's just good people helping good people.
It is something from the heart. It was started in Bombay by Miss Padmini Somani. She had a vision, and the vision was very simple. A kid in the school has a future. And as you know, in India, there's lots of kids who come from slums, go to schools, but then they drop out. The reason for dropout is most of the time economical, and what we want to do is provide them education at different levels inside the schools that they're going to, and make them stay in the school so that they have some kind of a mission in their life, some kind of a goal. And when these kids who stay with us during the academic period or during some of the programs which we have, which are much shorter in length, but they teach them vocational stuff, then what happens is they're ready to go out and have a little better life than they would have had if these programs were not available. It has solely been a mission from Padmini Somani. She had it for a very long time. It's almost now 17 years since the organization began, and it's becoming bigger and bigger. But to one thing that you said, it's not one person, it's a whole team. And it's more that everybody in that team has the same passion. And the passion is an important thing.
Namaskar, I'm Ashok Vyas, and standing with Nandina Ram Chandranji. She has come all the way from Mumbai, and she's working with Salam Bombay, organization that works with youth, and especially youth at the age between 12 to 17.
Yes, we work with disadvantaged children, youth who are between the classes of 7 to 9. And the reason why we work within the classes of 7 to 9 is that this is the time when most of these kids face a lot of pressure from their parents to drop out of school and contribute to the household income. And at Salam Bombay Foundation, we have basically mapped all the reasons why these kids are dropping out. The biggest, of course, being affordability and parental pressure. The girls have a larger pressure because they also have to drop out and contribute, to household chores and things like that. Then they find school boring, so they don't see any reason to continue there. They are malnourished, so they don't perform to potential because they're not getting the right kind of nutritional support. So basically at Salam Bombay, we work with the children in a holistic way because we realize just focusing on one need is not going to make a difference. So we have these very unique academies of art, theatre, music, sports, and most importantly vocational skills. So what we do is right at the school level itself, we teach them skills like mobile repair course, computer hardware repair course, beauticians courses, photography courses, web design, graphic design, things like that. And what happens is that the children can actually learn these things, and then they go home and they can learn and earn while on the job itself. And when they learn and earn on the job itself, then obviously the parents are very happy to support them to actually go on and continue class 10 and 12 and so on. And that's our mission. We want to keep children in school so that they have a future. And we want to say thank you to India Youth Fund. We are one of the biggest beneficiaries, and in fact the largest concentration of programs in India comes through the Salam Bombay Foundation.
I have a future because now I can show my skills to the world.
I have been aware of Salam Bombay Foundation through the founder Padmini, and when I visited the programs in India, I also went to visit some children in the slums. I went to some of the schools. I witnessed some of the academies in action. Bombay is the city where I have grown up, so it's very meaningful for me to be able to really witness the work that is being done there.
There is a world that we have in the form of family, and it is fulfilling. So many people think that I don't have time to think beyond this zone all the way up to India and connect with them. And sometimes that happens and it is a lukewarm sort of a thing. You donate once, but the kind of continuous committed association that you have had How that happens? What is the secret?
So I must say I've been very fortunate that my family has supported me wholeheartedly. If it wasn't for them, I would not have been able to accomplish as much as I have and been able to give so much of my time, so much of my effort and so much of my heart into the programs, into understanding and supporting. I think you have to really teach your children through example. And there are many different ways of giving. You could give your time, you could give your money, and you could really give in so many ways that there's enough time to be able to do that. I think there is something to be said for people who are busy. You always take time out for things that are important. We all have very busy lives, and if we think and put a sort of a marker on when we'll do things, that marker may be pushed back and back, but if we start to do something and we're committed to it, then there are always ways to be able to find time. And I think for my children to go back, they've also visited with me. I think it's important when you have a life of privilege to be able to understand how little can go so far. And so that is also a reason why I feel their support has been so encouraging for me, because there is some understanding at a deeper level.
I'm very confident and I can do anything with that. I can change the world with my art. I think that, and I will do that, definitely. Thank you to India Youth Fund.
I have also, worked through my life. I have 2 kids. And when I met Padmini and we were talking about it, and she mentioned to me the type of work she was doing, I was in my mind, I always had this intention that we have to take responsibility of the children or even people who are underprivileged, and we need to support them. So when I heard this thing from Padmini that their foundation and this fund they have started is doing this to bring up the children from the slums and to educate them, and to not only leave them after education, to give them a placement, give them a job, give them a security in life. That made me to think, and I said, if I can contribute in some way, and the best contribution I can do is give something of my own earnings to this organization, where I can see a friend of mine's daughter is coming from such a rich family. I mean, they don't need to bother about anybody, but they have concern for the people who are downtrodden, who are underprivileged. And I think if every, rich family or, well-to-do family or family who can afford to do it went into this process, I think we would eradicate poverty in India. And our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, what effort he's making to lift the poor, and he wants to bring out the poor out of poverty. I think we can assist him in this process. And I think this India Youth Foundation is doing a brilliant work. So I think this is a great, the initiative which is bringing the level to people who cannot afford, who cannot even think, because their parents are so poor, they only think about the next meal, and the children are neglected. So I think this responsibility we have to take up. So I think India Youth Foundation, I wish them all the success, I wish them all the best, and whatever I can do, I will keep doing it.
So talking to Parminder ji is energizing, it is inspiring, and also it is assuring on some level that good things are happening in the world, and there are people with good heart who want to bring about the positive, desirable change through organizations like India Youth Fund. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
हेलो, मेरा नाम है अंजू। हम लोग 4 बहन 1 भाई हैं। हम लोग सब अपने पेरेंट्स की मदद करते हैं। मेरे पापा गारमेंट में काम करते हैं। मुझे भी सिलाई करना बहुत पसंद है, इसीलिए मैंने सलाम बॉम्बे फाउंडेशन में टेलरिंग कोर्स सीखा है।
पढ़ाई के साथ सिलाई भी बहुत अच्छा कर लेती है, तो वो अपना खर्चा खुद अपने से निकाल लेते। तो मैं चाहती हूँ हमारे बच्चे बहुत आगे तक जाए।
मुझे आगे जाके फैशन डिज़ाइनर या फिर वकील बनना है। मेरी ज़िंदगी तो अभी शुरू हुई है।